Got this MS250 from a friend of mine. When you pull it over, you can hear this weird noise inside the engine. It is a bit harder to pull over, not much hard, but just a bit harder. Usually when it does that, it's the bearings. So I don't know if you can hear the noise, but I'll pull it over. I've checked the coil to make sure it wasn't rubbing on the flywheel. I've also checked the clutch and everything on that side. And at this point I'm going to rip it apart and see what's going on. So I'm going to start by removing the recoil. It's a T27 torque screwdriver. When I turn the flywheel by hand, in certain spots it's a lot stiffer and the coil is not rubbing on the flywheel. So there's something going on inside the crankcase, so it's going to have to be a complete teardown. So I'm going to remove the clutch first. Just get this clip out with a screwdriver. Keep everything in the same order it comes out. So I'm going to remove the clutch the same way I did in the MS180 videos, by inserting a rope in my cylinder and using a 19mm socket. And remember that the clutch is screwed on in reverse thread. So you got to turn clockwise to undo it. And the oiler worm gear is going to come out. I'm just going to take the handle off completely. First you got to remove these caps here that cover up some of the screws. There's another one here. There's also one over here. Next you got some torque screws in the handle here. They're a T27. There's also one in here. And you've got two down here under the handle. So now the handle should come off, at least the top part. There was a little cap here that had to be removed. There is no screw under there. Next I'm going to remove the two carburetor nuts here. They're 5/16 or 8mm. So the air filter cover will come off. Next I'm going to remove the linkage here by pressing on the trigger and pushing up like that. I'm going to remove the choke linkage by pushing up the choke like this so that it's closed, and then grabbing the linkage and just pulling out. I'm going to leave it in there like that. Next I'm going to disconnect the fuel line from the carburetor down here. This line has to be replaced. It's cracked. Now I'm going to pull the carburetor right out. This vent line here is connected to this venting thing here. So just leave it like that. Now you got to push in this mount right through so that the top cover can come out. So I got to take these two plates off here, the gasket and the plate. And next is the intake boot here has to be pushed in. Now you got to be very careful you do not puncture it when you move it into the cover. I'm just going to push it in like that. And see what else is holding it. Now I've just realized that the impulse line right here is connected to this orange cover and to the crankcase. Now the only thing holding the cover to the rest of the saw are the wires here underneath right there. So I'm going to have to undo some screws here that hold these wires. So you have to undo the torque screw above the flywheel here to get one of the wires off. Then you want to pull the wires from in behind there And the last wire that's connected is the one that goes here on the coil. It's not screwed in. And it disconnects over here. It's just a tab. Right here. And then bring it up and go behind here, and the cover should all come off now. And I'm just going to disconnect the vent line from here. This is where we're at now. Next I'm going to take off the muffler, and they are two 8mm nuts or 5/16. And there's going to be a spark arrestor in there as well. And now just pull out, and the muffler's going to come out. You can remove this part here with the gasket. And to remove the studs, just move to the side. Now flip the saw on its side like that, and you're going to see some torque screws under here. There's 4 of them. They're T27. We need to remove all 4. Okay, so now all the 4 bolts are removed. The top piston assembly should all come out. So now the cylinder will separate from the bottom. Just hold the flywheel and pull up. Just realized I should have removed the flywheel previously, but I've got the nut loose, and I'm just going to put a punch on there and just tap it lightly. Take the nut right off, and the wheel's going to come off. So this is what it looks like in there. I noticed the piston, it's got this funny texture on the top here. You can see where it's almost like it melted a bit. All around the edge of the piston. Looks deformed. So I'm going to pull out the whole crankshaft assembly, and we're going to have a better view of what's going on. So I'll just remove this out of here. I'm going to feel the bearings. This bearing here is finished. It's loose. The one on this side's not bad, but it needs replacing as well. Oh man, look at this. There's balls missing in there, out of there. No wonder. A piece came off. And I'll show you the piston here. Well, here it is. Look at this. That's pretty damaged, so it still ran with the piston though. I started it previously. It had good compression the way it was, so I'll try to get a new piston and the bearings for this. So there's the problem right there. But you can grab the bearing and move left and right, and you can see it move. The slack there, that means the bearing's finished. This one's pretty excessive, so that needs to be replaced. Crankshaft is good, connecting rod's good, the rings are good. I prefer putting a new piston. It does work. A good way to remove bearings if they won't slide out is with a simple puller like this. Just insert it on each side. And then tighten up the puller right in the center of the crankshaft. And just simply tighten it up and the bearing should come up. So I was tightening it and it popped out a bit, so I'm going to reinsert it. And now it should just come out. There's the bearing. It's bad. I've never seen this before this bad. I've seen them discolored, but not actually broken apart like that. Forgot to show you the cylinder, but here it is. It's good. No problems in there. So at least I know the cylinder is going to be good. So I'm going to price those parts, see if it's worth fixing.